Hey guys, and welcome back to the Economic Outlook. Today we're going to be talking about the retail apocalypse, mainly stores that are anchored and centralized in major shopping centers like malls. And so we're going to go through some charts. We're going to go through some information. I want to break it down and show everybody exactly what's going on and what I'm seeing. These reports are relatively new from the last month to 2 months, and so the data is still pretty fresh. But it gives us an idea of exactly what we're facing, what you guys are facing. Because at the end, for those of us that work in retail, we're all in this together. So let's take a look and see what we got going on. Thanks for stopping in, guys, and I hope you enjoyed the video. So guys, what I want to do is transition over to another chart here that is showing you guys, as of early 2019, the anticipated store closures from some of the most key retailers, mostly located in malls. And this is really impactful because this is what's happening in my area, and I'm sure it's what's happening in most of your areas. So let's take a look at this chart together, and let's just kind of break this down, and hopefully we can kind of figure out what's going on. So if you look at the chart on your screen, U.S. retail apocalypse intensifies in 2019. Chains that are closing the most U.S. stores by brand. So Payless Shoe Source, 2,500 stores out of business. Gymboree and Crazy 8, again, anchor stores in most U.S. malls, 805 locations, out of business. Charlotte Russe, another anchor in most U.S. malls, 520 stores, out of business. The one that I find very interesting is the Family Dollar store. In a weaker economy, you would assume Family Dollar stores would be flourishing, but in fact they are failing, 390 store closures. Shopko at the time anticipated 251 locations. They filed bankruptcy and closed all stores. Chico's, another mall staple, 250 closures. Gap, another massive mall anchor. Usually you see three Gaps. You see the Gap Kids, the Gap Adult, and then like the Gap, I forget what they call it. It's like the older tier Gap. There's like three Gap stores. 230 closures. Then we've got Performance Cycle at 102. Sears at 70. Now Sears did survive bankruptcy. However, they did survive their bankruptcy, but there are very few Sears locations left. I know here in Boise, Idaho, we don't have any major Sears at all left. We have their like discount retail stores that you find in small little shopping chains, but major anchors across all of Idaho and all of our malls are completely vacant. Again, leaving a giant, massive anchor store that can't be filled because Sears Roebuck owns it and refuses to sell it. Definitely not helping with our perception on how our malls are looking, especially to the consumer that's in there shopping. Especially when we have 30 plus empty storefronts and that anchor. I also want to bring you guys' attention to another chart that I'm going to pull up here in a second, and this is from 2017. And this is going to show anticipated store closures, and I'd like to compare it to what we were talking about with this last chart. So if you take a look on the screen, this shows you Radio Shack anticipated 250 store closures. Payless, 400, now completely bankrupt. Radio Shack, completely bankrupt. Rue 21 with 400 store closures, on the verge of going bankrupt. The Limited, 250. Family Christian, 240. BB, 180. Wet Seal, 170. Crocs, 160. JCPenney's with 138 store closures, another massive mall anchor. BCBG, 120. American Apparel, 110. Kmart anticipated 109. Now they're bankrupt. They're closed across the U.S. H.H. Gregg with 83 potential store closures. Staples and CVS Pharmacy with none. However, what is funny when we compare that to our last chart, and the chart I'm going to show you here in a second, you'll see how those numbers are actually inaccurate. Macy's, 68 store closures, another massive anchor in almost all American shopping malls. Abercrombie and Fitch, 60 anticipated store location closings in 2017. Guess with 60. Sears at the time with 41, now now surviving their bankruptcy, but near complete closure ratios. And then Gender Mountain with an additional 30. Now, these are some of the most highly volatile stores that in 2017 were anticipating and announcing store closures. And so if you look at this information from 2017 and we compare it to the chart of what we just looked at for 2019, you can see a unison between the two, and you can see just how bad the retail apocalypse has gotten in a 2-year term. So if we think about 2017 to 2019, how is the retail industry in the world going to look, and our shopping centers going to look in 2021 when we've seen such a drastic change from 2017 to 2019? That 2-year term from 2019 to 2021 is really going to tell us the tale, and I'm curious to see, will we have shopping malls when we're done? It's hard to say. So before we close out this video, I want to take a second here, and I want to go through another list of some stores that I found recently from MoneyWise.com. They posted an article with anticipated numbers of locations in retail stores that are going to be closing up shop in 2019. And so I find it interesting to see how many of these retailers are closing shops across the U.S. Nordstrom with 4 additional announcements in 2019. Macy's with 4 additional announcements in 2019. Target with 6. Kohl's with 8. Lord & Taylor with 9. Topshop with 11. Walmart, one of the biggest retailers in the U.S., announcing 17 store closures. J. Crew with 20. Southeastern Grocers with 22. JCPenney's, another massive mall anchor, with 27. Christopher & Banks, a mall store that we find in most U.S. malls, 40 additional store closures. Abercrombie & Fitch announced an additional 40 in 2019 on top of what we saw from the previous 2 charts and reports. Francesca's, 40, another mall staple. Bed Bath & Beyond, 40, another mall staple. Z Gallery, 44 additional store closures. The Children's Place, another mall staple with 45 store closures. Party City, 45. Remember how we talked about CVS Pharmacy, and they showed that they were doing well in 2017? Well, they're not now. 46 additional store closures in 2019. Big K, out of business. Lowe's with 51 announcements in 2019. Victoria's Secret, 53 additional store closures in 2019. Another store staple that was struggling in 2017 has continued to struggle all the way through 2019. Office Depot with 59 additional store closures. Destination Maternity up to 67. Sears, they were announcing 72 in 2019. They survived their bankruptcy but have minimal stores across the United States. Performance Bicycle, 102. Pier 1 Imports, 145. Jared, the Galleria of Jewelry, 150 store closure announcements. Starbucks, 150, another mall staple. Lifeway Christian Stores, 170. Things to remember, 200 plus stores. This was once in malls across the U.S., barely in any. Gap, 230, another mall staple. Chico's, 250 announcements. Charming Charlie, 261. Fred's Super Dollar, 312. Shopko, originally 363, filed for bankruptcy in late 2018, early 2019, closed all stores. Family Dollar, 390. Charlotte Russ, originally 512, declared bankruptcy and shut down all U.S. stores. Dress Barn, 650. Gymboree, 800. And Payless Shoe Source, closing all mall locations across the U.S. and declaring bankruptcy. Again, this report comes directly from MoneyWise.com. And this just shows, guys, the retail apocalypse is real. It's not getting better. And so the question is, what does our retail shopping look like in 2 years from today? So in 2021, will we have malls? Will those of us that work in malls, will we still be employed? Will we have a place to work in 2 years because of the rapid acceleration of closures? It is interesting to review and look at this information. As we close out this video, I want you guys to understand the importance behind this. Support your local brick and mortar stores. Even if you go in for 1 or 2 things, go in and support them. Take that trip from the home. Go down to the retail store and support your brick and mortar locations, because if we don't support them and we don't help, we're not going to have them here in the near future. And like picture on your screen shows, that could be the shopping mall that you work in. That could be the store that you work in. That is your job on the line, and that's not what any of us want. Thank you guys for watching. We'll talk to you soon. Have a wonderful day and take care.